Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 43rd episode of DevKami, and I am Chileon.
Mhm.
I am
My name is
Tristan.
Yes, Trisha is
and
back now.
Hello.
yay! And this is swimming. So let's start with what should we start actually?
As usual, the schedule about
Yeah.
the
So what we
events.
have for the whole events?
So
The short answer is we
you
have
go to
nothing.
you have to devkami.com/meetups and there
Yeah.
is nothing. Yeah.
No, actually, there's one thing happening next
Oh,
week.
I
Google
haven't
Cloud
added in
July.
because it's a bit last minute, so I have to add it in.
Yeah.
hmm
So
I'm
there's
gonna
Google
put it.
Cloud July meetup.
The ISPP is over,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's around pretty big crowd as well. It's over at
Yeah.
Faith News, the new Faith office, which almost like they almost host most of the events for these few months.
Okay. Where
Okay.
is that anyway?
The
Bangsa
same
South.
on stuff.
Yeah.
The
I mean
vertical.
Bangsa South, the complex area,
Yeah,
not the green sheet,
yeah.
Kampung Green Sheet.
If you yeah
So it's at the vertical. It's just across Nexus.
yeah
So if you can walk from basically you can walk from the Kerinchi station over the bridge
Yeah.
and the what they call this like overpass, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get there.
Mm-hmm. It's not too far. Good exercise. You
It's like
lazy
about
people.
20-minute walk from
Yeah.
the train station. Yeah,
Yes.
not so
So
bad.
yes. Then the next event will be in early August. The
yeah.
weeks after. So other
And
than that,
next
there's
month, to
any
the end
event
of
after.
next month, we'll be having two big events. One is PyCon,
Yep.
another one is over in Singapore, which is the Women on Code event.
Yeah. We will
Uh-huh.
connect.
Connection.
Yeah. So I'm
Are
too
they
lazy to go to Singapore, but yeah.
are they selling tickets
Yes.
for this?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm, okay, let us see. How much is the ticket, if you know from the top of your head?
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Says 37 days to Women Who Code Connect. Oh, they are on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All
So
right. So
It's wow, it's so strange. It's 350 Sing dollars.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Scholarship. Oh, it's actually the sponsor package.
Mm.
The
mhm.
normal price is actually 200.
Early bird is
No,
100,
no,
which is
Libra is
Still a bit
100.
heavy,
The
but
350 is you so you can sponsor another person.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
mhm.
And
Okay.
let's go to the bars corner. What is fun happening nowadays?
Let's see. Oh, okay. So we have detail about the Cloudflare outage. That is from last week, but I think we should remind again. Very
Yeah.
interesting week.
What other outages we have over the week?
Oh,
I sure something happened, but I don't remember what.
there's one this morning. Path of
Uh-huh.
Exile was down for
Oh,
2 hours,
Okay.
which is because there was a bug. Well, so the story is that they deployed a patch and
Yep.
the the manager who was like in charge of the whole thing did not know or was not informed that there was a database migration included in the patch.
Yep.
And so
oh,
what happened was that like Korean people, so they got so there was a really nice um what they call this, like retrospective of what happened. And
Mhm.
so 25 minutes into the patch, the Korean section, what like the Korean uh, part of the company was reporting that people in the Korean servers were trying to log in, but they couldn't log in with their accounts. They had to create an account, and and then they realized that the database migration just wiped off all of the
oh
accounts.
no!
Yeah, so well, which is fine because they have like a point in time database backup, right? And so what happened was like, yeah, so they had to roll back. So it's like about 30
Uh,
minutes of gameplay that was
that's a
lost.
bummer. What if you
Yeah.
got some really legendary loots?
Yeah, during those 30 minutes. So that's a joke actually on Twitter. Like, please give me back my whatever
Yeah.
legendary. But yeah, so but what's really good is that even though there was like 30 minutes of lost gameplay, it's because they had a point in time backup
Mhm,
that, like, this is, I think, the first time that they've had this kind of issue. But even though like it's been like years since they started, like you never really know when a backup would be needed.
Yeah.
And so like it's you always just run the backups, but you never really know when it's actually needed until it's needed. You never know
I
that
think
you
a
have
release log is also important for that. I mean, for this, the lesson
Mhm.
is it's not necessary for the end user, but for the internal as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, another thing that they mentioned was that QA should have caught this, but because their checklist, the QA checklist, states that you can log in, but it doesn't say that you can log in to a previous account that you've created. So now they've added that to their QA checklist.
Yeah. At least,
Because yeah, because you can log in, you can create an account and then log in, which is working, but it's because the database migration like deleted accounts. So that means you have to log in to a previous account that was already created before. So
mhm,
that's another thing that they needed to add it on their QA. So it's actually a very, so all of these like outages, it's
mhm,
really interesting to take a look at their retrospectives on what happened, because it gives a sneak peek or like an idea of what it requires to get something out.
mhm,
If you're not handling, like, these are really large like communities, large like very very big software services, and you, maybe you're just like deploying something to Heroku and then you're just expecting Heroku to like do things for you.
yeah.
But for really large software applications, this is what happens, and people mess things up. But still, that's why you all have all of these contingency measures uh, to
Yeah.
yeah.
mitigate against
At
that.
least you have the backup.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not strange in the engineering
Yeah.
world because you know why your plane don't crash as often as the early days? Air crash investigation, and of course you have the
Of course,
department.
from those incidents, you actually update your SOP of what
Hmm.
Correct.
checklist to
Yeah.
what to check for.
Well,
Yes.
that's like SOP for, like they are updating their SOPs and their checklist, right? Because they
Yeah, yeah,
experience
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But for us who are reading and knowing and looking at like, oh, this is what happened when there was an outage, then
Yep.
we should also be updating our checklists,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
it's like learning from other people's
Yeah.
experiences instead of learning from
Correct.
our own experience.
Precisely. So another thing that happened before we move on to the topic is two things that is interesting. One is LinkedIn is migrating to Microsoft Azure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Expected.
There is minor, but the more interesting one for me is that Google released cloud functions for TensorFlow 2.0 so they can implement inference without deploying your own servers. Yeah, using Google serverless function also. Uh, so it make it easy for you to build an inference system if you happen to do deep learning.
Yeah.
So that's all the
So
interesting
you
thing for
have to
me.
go deep in order to deep learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
Sorry.
this one that I actually missed, I just found it just now from from Twitter from one of the guys. I'll share it on DevKami again. Not really bus corner traditional sense. So there's this new Kickstarter project. The build. So in China, there's this new processor called the K210. It's actually a RISC processor designed for you to run some AI application. What they mean by AI application is, meaning it actually optimize some of the code to run some TensorFlow. This for deep learning purposes. Uh, so someone, in this case, by DF Robot, they are big uh, robot maker. They actually build education robots and electronic components. So they built a camera with this processor, which you can use it to train your object without writing a line of code. So you click on it, then you train them for things. I do not know how it works, but it's interesting because, but in theory, it should work because,
I'm gonna share in the
uh,
chat.
yeah, I should share it. I share it on DevKami chat. In theory, it should work. Should I show the screen?
No, I actually shared it in the chat.
Yeah, I have a
Okay.
question, Meng. What's the difference with RISC and ARM and x86 and
It's different approach of
Motorola?
designing different architecture for microprocessor, which is it doesn't mean a lot of thing. It doesn't mean a lot of thing, but in layman term, is actually how they arrange and
Yeah, the
build the microprocessor.
feature set and instruction as well.
Correct. It's like different sort of software. Microsoft, Windows versus Linux, Unix versus Windows, for example. In this case, the architecture doesn't really matter. What really matters is they optimize the hardware to run some machine learning application. So I share a link. It's very interesting. On the right price, I find it things get. Yeah. So that's the last interesting thing about Buzz that I can talk about.
Okay. I'm gonna
Anything
do a
to
bit of wordplay. Fedora Core OS is back. In case you missed.
yay!
Yeah, what is old is new again. But it's not
Yes.
related to the old Fedora Core, but it's actually Fedora Core OS edition. Check it out. Yeah. Just in case you guys didn't know, Red Hat actually acquired Core OS.
Yep.
Yeah, all these transactions are pretty confusing nowadays for me. Very hard to track.
Cool.
So what else? What?
I think that's about it. I know.
Oh, and another thing about this, I'm not sure whether it's old or new. You know, Zectronics.
Oh yeah, Zectronics. I know
Yeah,
Zectronics.
they have a lot of like programming, like kind of puzzle games and stuff. They are offering their games for free for education.
Oh, that's very old, but yes, it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good way to teach, but it does teach logical thinking very well.
How do you acquire the games?
You need to prove yourself that you're an educational institution.
You need an education institute. Email address that should be like let's say
.edu?
Yeah, .edu and something.
Yeah,
Or registered.
yeah.
Or registered organizations.
Mm.
So
Then
what
you-
else? No. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it, lah.
Okay.
I think there's a few, but I lost track.
Yeah. No, not so much.
All right. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the meat of the meat of the day.
Topic. Yeah, because we run out of topic, I decided to talk about books.
As usual.
So
we always pick the easiest topic to talk about.
yes, because we're lazy as hell.
Yeah, that was one of our slogan.
Yes. All right. So the first book I want to talk about is actually The Friendly Orange Glow. Now, this is very interesting because imagine you had over 30 to 40 years ago, somebody actually built a computer that you never heard about, in an architecture you never thought about, with hardware you never think about it, and you almost nobody outside the particular institution actually know the existence of such computer, right? So the computer, this book is describing such computer. The computer is called Plato. Plato is actually a computing system that is used in University of Plato computer.
Come on.
It's actually used by University of Illinois. So it built in the early days of computer being used by educational institution, but it evolved into different way, but it doesn't get translated to microcomputers. So this computer, Plato, this book actually describe about a bit about how the design of computer and the history of it. For example, what's earliest hardware they run, how do they get built and whatnot.
They make us very expensive.
Yes, and also it's also really interesting because Plato is the first computer that run plasma display, and there's a reason why why they need plasma display in the 1960s. One of the things they want to do for Plato is a computer for education, and they do not want to use keyboard because they want something a bit more interactive, touch screen. And turns out that plasma screen can easily detect disturbance, and you can use that as a touch screen. But the interesting for me is for the plasma part is that almost nobody in the modern day know about plasma screen. It used to be pretty popular, but when they do have it those days,
I think I heard about it before. It's a pretty common tactic.
Yeah.
It's a fake kind of touchscreen.
Correct. But when you look about plasma TV, they don't advertise that as a touchscreen. So either way, to make it fast, the Plato, the computer, had very interesting history other than hardware. It's some of the earliest systems that have internet community-like capability, as in they have chat room, they have threads, they have notes passing around before email. They have social group. Because it's designed for class, you can build it as a classroom-like structure. When you can build a classroom structure, you get a community, right? So the Friend Orange Glow is a book I would recommend if you want to look at a computing system that nobody heard about, almost nobody heard about, and actually got dead, and actually in some way ahead of its time. Because they do what we do commonly before the internet took off, right? So I highly recommend this. So the Friendly Orange Glow, the untold story of rise of cyber culture. Oh, one more thing about Friendly Orange Glow, the book is, you know, Lotus Notes.
Yeah.
So a few.
Is that the 123 Lotus 123?
Yeah. He used the creator of Lotus Notes and the founder of the company used to work on the Plato system. So it brings a lot of idea to Lotus Notes. So yeah.
One thing I'm curious though is a bit off topic.
Yes.
I remember like the Soviet actually has their own computer system as well, right?
Correct.
So do we have any resources on like how it was like?
There is some system that got that. I will share the article later. Somebody actually have a Unix clone built in the Soviet Union. The Buran space shuttle is programmed with a very using a GUI-based tool to program their automated system. They use a different architecture. You heard of the Buran space shuttle?
Which one is that?
So in the late 80s, Russia had their own space shuttle program. It's called the Buran. It only launched once. Okay, it only launched once.
Maybe because details.
No, it's so successful.
Okay.
It's so successful. The first launch fully automated. The launch, go orbit and land flawlessly. But the only problem is
I know. It took away jobs. Sorry.
Soviet Union do not have the project anymore. So
okay.
I thought
it took away jobs.
No, it's very fascinating, and they have their own way to actually program the computers.
Yeah. Speaking of jobs, well, Steve Jobs, like how does this compare with HyperCard, like the old HyperCard?
I think it's way before.
No, it happened around the time, but the thing about the Plato computer is that they have their own programming environment, but they do not have HyperCard. They have their own, but they do have their own specialized programming system designed to build interface. Think of it like HTML in the early days with some logic on it. Plato, the system, is very specialized. That's actually one of the reasons of the downfall, because it's designed purely for education. They don't even have accounting system on it. They're not built for information processing.
There's no way to move forward previously. You just stop at the classroom.
Correct. They do not plan to use that, and the hardware is a mainframe system, so it's hard to move out even in by the time they reach the 80s.
Yeah,
So
it's already too late.
yes, so Plato died because they're overly specialized, whereas at the same time, the Palo Alto Research Center, they built the desktop, and that get easily translated to Apple and the PC world, right? Because that is a general purpose system. So in the book, they also describe that the approach is very different. They got a pub approach, build a good general system to build stuff, which is you get small talk and on whatnot. And just so you know, Seymour Papert and Alan Kay is part with a focus of computer for education. So both of the Plato team and Alan Kay
Yeah, I like
want
Alan
to
Kay.
do education, but the Park team
I'm a fanboy.
decided that they need a better user interface, right? Not specialized education tools. So, which is another reason why Plato died out, because it's very obscure and they were only specialized. Even though because they build a classroom, you can build internet community things that are similar to internet communities. Because when you build a classroom, you need to communicate and whatnot. So yeah, they have no relationship with Hypercard, but it's very interesting. They have their own platform, their own hardware, and all that. So yeah, it's a piece of computing history.
There are some relationship because I remember Alan Kay sits on the board of Apple for like some UI stuff.
Yeah. But not on Plato, but on Apple.
Yeah, I mean for Hypercard because Hypercard is I remember it's an Apple thing, right?
It's Apple.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like Visual Basic.
Yeah.
Well, not Visual Basic, but it's like how Microsoft used Visual Basic to macro-wise automate things on the operating system. That's how Apple Mac OS was doing for their Mac OS. So you use HyperCard.
Correct. But this thing do not have HyperCard and whatnot on it. It's their own thing.
But is it more related then to the BBC Micro, the small computer?
No, not even that. Not even that. As I say, this is a machine that is built in the 60s and to the 90s that nobody outside of University of Illinois. You understand that part? I really mean that. So it's not like they're not building microcomputers, they're building a mainframe system with their own programming environment, their own programming language, with their own design. And it doesn't get translated outside of University of Illinois. Other than very few things like the plasma display, and that's about it. It advanced in their own way, but it's a very good story on why a system, how you build a system that can survive and whatnot. So this is a totally different system. Whereas BBC Micro in the early days, you still talk about basic. You get to program.
I think it's not because it's not general. The problem with Plato is too specific, too specialized, and you cannot grow up from there. So basically, it's useless.
Correct. So it's their own thing. It's their own thing, which is very unique, and it's died because it's their own thing, overly unique. So shall I move? So any question? Anything you want to know about the book?
Actually, Nicholas actually added like Buran.
Yeah.
Buran is actually it's actually a US clone. So I actually did a look at
Actually, not true. Not necessarily true, because it's not a clone. It's originally people think of that, but turns out that it's like a pyramid. There's only that few way for you to build a space shuttle.
Okay.
The
design look alike. Really look alike.
Yeah. The design looks similar, but they add their own thing. For example, space shuttle is never fully automated. Buran can be orbit and land without human intervention. And they have 2 jet engines, so they can actually land whenever they re-enter. Whereas the space shuttle need to be very carefully decided where to land because they can only fly back home.
Also, the time frame is a bit unfortunate because it's the project actually the first launch in 1988. As you remember, like the
Wolf Falls.
The the 4 force, the Soviet dissolve.
Yes. It's very close. It's a very set piece of technology because it's pretty advanced.
Yep.
So they did a lot of things that are better than the space shuttle.
Right. So what next for us?
Okay, so the next book I want to talk about. I'm sorry, Tristan. I'm going to conquer this part.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the.
Conquer this part.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Coders by Stephen. Was it Stephen Levy? No, Clive Thompson. So Coders is essentially about us.
What? I'm not a
Clive
coder.
Thompson.
Specifically about swimming.
It's about swimming.
Yeah, true, but
I'm
I'm
in the line of janitorial.
So this book is really interesting in their own way because it describes programming relatively accurately and describe how we think relatively accurately. So this one explore about programmers, coders in general. So it start with why what is coders, why we think that way. So one of the theses inside the book is that the reason we always overly focus on one thing and sometimes without the big picture is because a program is very simple. It works, it is correct. But it also frustrates people outside because people outside us overthink things because as a result they don't have the mindset to write a good program. So that's why we seems like people like us is weird to another and we look at the other guys as weird as well, right? So this book is pretty cool in the way that they talk about programming coders and all that and their history. So they cover from programmers to the modern day. I believe they also cover
the 10x for elites.
yeah, about the 10x book. I remember they also cover about the computers. The greatest demo on the planet. Do you know that part?
I have no idea. I haven't read it.
The greatest demo on Earth by Engelbert is the first demo of the mouse GUI and whatnot. Let's also talk about that. This book is pretty. As for us, it was an opportunity to inspect ourselves. So it made me think about why I do things that way. So it's a bit that I recommend this one because, and also throw it to another people so that they get it. No, just understand the culture. So this one I recommend for you to read to think about yourself. So anything you want to know about coders?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then I go to the.
It sounds coders.
Yeah, it is about coders. And also why sometimes people think so narrowly is because when we write program, the thesis say that when we write program, as long as it's correct, it's right. As a result, it really doesn't matter what is outside world is. But also this book don't just cover just the psychology of programming, also the future. Whereas programmers are essentially they talk about 10x programmers too.
Yeah, 10x, the what? I don't know.
From 10x programmers to like programmers as janitors.
The bros.
Yeah. So the whole subculture. So I would really recommend this one.
Okay, we're gonna do a rotation, like.
Yeah, let's go for next.
Yeah. Tristan.
Yep. What about it?
Yeah.
You want me to?
I see you're sharing some books on the.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Like...
Because I wanted to. I couldn't remember the name until I found it. That's why I shared it late.
Yeah.
TED Talks.
Yeah.
So any book you recommend?
TED Talks.
Oh, no, not this one. I was I'm recommending it, but I want to go first for the apprenticeship patterns. They actually have a free version available. If you don't want to support the author, then you can get the
Either
for
one.
free.
Evil, you monster. Support the
You
author.
you're yeah. But yeah, but it's like paying for Sublime Text.
Yeah,
You make a
Yeah,
living out of it. Might as well like pay
yeah,
for it, right?
yeah.
yeah,
And pay for your own tools. It's only like what, $60 US. Well, although I
yeah,
bought it like when it was 30 because it was like Sublime Text too.
yeah.
But yeah, for
So,
this one, if you want to try it out, then it's free.
what's the book about anyway?
It's like a few patterns. So you know about design patterns for
Yeah.
coding, right? Like all of like
Mhm,
Singleton pattern or like factory or whatever. This is like a similar thing, but for your life as a coder. So for example, it will talk about like what happens uh, if you need to learn something, but because you're working on production software, you're not allowed to break it, of course, right? So
mhm,
how do you experiment? And so that's a particular situation or a pattern, and it
mhm,
will give you a recommendation on what to do. So it's called the breakable toy resolution, where you create a small project called a breakable
mhm,
toy where you can like do all of your experiments, and it's a toy, it's breakable. You can break it, basically you can like have it not work, but it's large enough such that it will allow you to simulate something that like a larger project that you would have done anyway. So and they have a lot of these patterns. um, Actually, in the initial uh, episodes of DevKami, I was going to suggest that we go through all of these patterns and then pick the one that we like.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can pick ones that you like, because the ones that I really like is the breakable toy pattern. Allows me
mhm.
to like just
Yeah,
experiment and stuff.
yeah, let's do it.
So,
Let's find one.
the breakable pattern is something as a separate project, or is it a separate project, or it's an experimental version of a production software?
The breakable toy, it doesn't have to be anything. Like if you just want like to do app is usually a breakable toy, or if you just want to understand how
Okay,
React Redux works, for example, or maybe
okay,
writing your own blog, it's really anything. But again,
interesting. There's a
uh,
name
the
for that.
the best way to do it. So it's from O'Reilly. It's the free book is published by O'Reilly,
Yeah,
and you can search for it. Like just go apprenticeship patterns.
yeah,
Breakable toys is like, yeah, it's available. There is chapter 5, um, and it does say so. It has this particular format where it says. It has a context, so experience is built upon failure as much as, if not more than, success. Then you have a problem statement or the pattern. You work in an environment that does not allow for failure, yet failure is often the best way to learn anything. And then, so the solution or the pattern that they would recommend, or yeah, the solution to this pattern is that you budget for failure by designing and building toy systems that are similar in toolset but not in scope to the systems you build at work. So if you're trying to learn Django, and because in production you're using Django but you don't know
yeah,
anything about it, then why don't you create something like a small blog or like a small application, let's say selling stuff on Django, and then
yeah.
allows you to uh, practice on stuff, not on production, not on the thing that makes money.
Yeah,
Interesting. They got a
but
name
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Because we do it with different project all the time. Every time we learn something, we'll do that.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I think because I think everything under the sun has a name. If you
yeah,
can describe the symptom, there must be a name for it.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Well, it's good to have a name, and
Yeah,
I think many of the fantasy authors like Tolkien, or like the ones that do the elven stuff, right? They have this concept called a true name, where if you know the true name of someone or an
yeah,
object and you call it, then you have complete control
yeah,
over that object or someone, right?
yeah,
And that's actually quite powerful in the sense that once you put a name to a concept or idea, it's very easy to manipulate the
yeah,
idea and pass it to someone, because now it has a name. You have a pointer to it. Like
yeah,
if we're talking about code, you have a pointer to a particular memory block, and you can move it around because you don't have to actually have that idea physically with you. I can talk about the moon, but
yeah,
I don't have to show you like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
there's
the moon is enough. Right?
yeah. So the finger pointing at the moon is enough
Yeah.
for you to understand
Yeah.
what
Or the
I'm
name, because there's a name for it, so moon, like, understand
yeah.
what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, correct. That's why naming things is very, very important.
Yeah.
One of the more difficult parts of software
Yeah.
development.
It's giving names.
Yeah. So another pattern that I really like is the find mentors pattern. So the context there is you've realized that you're not the first person to walk the path, and you're spending a
Yep.
lot of time
Exactly.
exploring blind alleys, right? So you'd like, oh, I don't know what to do, and um, but I know a lot of people have done that. And the problem there is you're walking along a path with no idea what's around the next corner or how to prepare for it. You need help and guidance. And so the solution is seek out those who have gone ahead of you and strive to learn from them. And I like that the engineers.my Slack group. So I'm shilling myself here, shilling our group here. But engineers.my group, especially the support channel, is really, really useful for like all of these mentorship, like some informal mentorship that happens around here. There's no mentor mentee formal relationship happening, but people just ask a question knowing that other people must have had the same experience from before, and then they would
You get, actually, you get the more than enough answer that you want.
yeah. Hmm. So yeah, so that's why I really like this book. It's good if you will even read the book once a year, let's say, and then just like see which ones have you been encountering, which ones you think you will encounter in the future. It's always a good refresher. So it's one of those books that have timeless wisdom in them, where any even if you read them 20 years ago or you read them now or 20 years after today, it still has that kind of like something to teach you.
Yep.
Yep, I
Cool.
will put the link to YouTube.
So what other book you want to share?
The other one is Freakonomics.
Oh
Freakonomics
yeah.
is actually quite interesting because not well it's first of all it's entertaining. So
Uh,
like you're like, oh, it's like a trivia thing. Oh, I didn't know that there's a relationship between abortion and crime, let's say, right?
mhm.
And
Oh, they actually, yeah, it's actually funny because they actually debunked that in one of their
Yeah.
podcasts.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
so
they
they
actually admit it. Yeah.
so yeah, it's recently they had to like revise some of their like research into this in this book.
I think that is how science should work, because
Yep.
you should always like question even your own work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So aside from it being entertaining and fun, it also gives you like because this is especially for data science people where you have very dirty data, but you would need to have something like a proxy for the thing that you want to get,
Mhm.
right? And the way they go about like getting all of these correlations and trying to get to some kind of scientific cause and effect relationship between the two is quite interesting. So aside from the entertainment factor, um, it gives you the kind like it opens your mind and expands it to like how you would approach a problem. It's like the classic Microsoft questions of like how many golf balls will it take to fill a pool, Olympic sized pool, for example, right? So like that kind of open-minded thinking, they show a lot in the book. So
Yeah.
I like economics.
Freakonomics. My takeaway for Freakonomics is that things have unintended consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. From,
Yeah, well, I can talk about the last one because unless because you were
yeah, shared it. So
giving yeah
yeah.
the
Yeah.
TED Talks is good because of like it gives you like solid advice on how to speak in front of an audience, how to
Yeah.
structure your talk, because might be software developers, but what I always tell people is that it's not about just creating software, it's about creating a story for a user to go through, right? When you're designing an application, you want them to go through certain things. And I feel that giving a talk and walking your audience through your thought process is it uses many of similar skills when you're designing a software application, because you want to bring a user from what they want to actually having their task done, whether it's like creating an essay, let's say, or like
Yeah, so
buying
yeah,
something. There's a story behind it,
yeah,
and
Mhm.
getting that story, so the book talks about like having your brain synced with another person while you're making a speech, right? So it's the same thing. While you're making a story, you actually sync that person's brain, like their thoughts are synced with how you would want them to go through your application. So it's more of like it's a transferable skill of telling a story and also creating a software application. That's why
Yeah.
I like it so much. That's it.
So, Chilean, what's your two books?
I'm gonna talk about it again. I like to read about philosophy,
Yeah.
and it's all like a self help kind of thing for me. But I really like
Yeah.
I really like Seneca. Basically, one
Yeah.
of the person that into this stoic philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, basic story is in short is if you're painful, that's normal. Shut up.
Yeah.
You're not special. Just go on. A bit hard, but it's actually uh, I find it's actually pretty useful for me. I would suggest letters from a stoic from Seneca.
Mhm.
But if you like to have something that is letters, the letters one is actually simple because it's basically it's letters. If you would like more on that,
Yeah.
story is actually fine. It's not so opinionated. It's just how
Yeah.
we should basically life or certain thing like they are ups and downs. It's sometimes it feels very painful and stuff. How do you face it? The other famous one is actually Meditations from Marcus
Mhm.
Aurelius. So,
Mhm.
but for simplicity, I actually prefer the letters. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it. I don't have anything to recommend. Oh, besides, I'm actually reading Sandman right now. It's very nice.
Okay.
It's a graphic novel.
Right.
I think he actually did it before American God. So in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah. It is.
there's some essence of that American God in that. So if you like American God, you can God or gods.
Got.
What's the difference between manga and the graphical novel?
I
No, it's actually more of think of it of a no. You can have a manga that is graphic novels. For example, Ghost in the Shell is actually a graphic novel, even though it's written in Japan, which is why it's a manga.
That's a good question.
Manga have a tendency to be in a month or a certain period within monthly format, but graphic novel is more of a length at a time. So
Put
it's
it
like
this
a
way:
novel graphic form.
the difference is like similar to like novel, not like books. Like novel, graphical novel, graphic novels normally they group by or they publish by certain topics. Like
Yeah,
for these certain topics, like probably just about this, then the story will be surrounding about this. But there's
yeah,
not so much of what to call it correlation with what happened previously as well.
yeah.
There's no need of there's not so
Continuity.
much not so much of continuity, but mainly about certain stories.
Yeah.
So
So
that's why you for like some series there's a lot of non-canon kind of the like others extra non-canon series that will publish.
filler.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
That's a good question.
yeah, but manga had tendency to be like serialized and graphical novel and novel is really novel. They're not usually serialized.
It's unlike I think I can put unlike from those I read, which is not so much.
Yeah.
Manga feels like a TV drama series. Like they are,
Mhm.
it's like continuing the story is continuing, but graphical novel is like each episode is like on its own, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I probably need to read more about this.
Yeah. So should I go to the next book or what?
Yeah, let's go to the next book. I have nothing more.
Okay, so my last book, I just finished it just before I reach home.
Your last
It's
book probably
actually,
take a lot of time.
I was on the car. Cult of the Dead Cow. You heard about Cult of the Dead Cow?
I heard of it before.
Tristan?
Yeah,
It's like a hacking group, right?
yeah, a piracy group, no, or something. I think.
So before Anonymous, there is Cult of the Dead Cow. And their hacker group. They do not start with hacking. There's really, as you said, they really start with pirate, but not just pirate.
I'm not sure if you can put Anonymous as a group.
No, yeah. But this one is more solid as a group. And here's the interesting thing: they may crack games in the early days, but the other activities also their bulletin board group, BBS system. So at that time, they want to extend the stay, so that they happen to get credit card and all that. So they are hacking group. They're hacking group since the 70s. So this book is not a very deep book in the way that they do not tell you how to hack stuff. They're also not deep in the way they do not describe the psyche or the culture of the group, but it does talk about the impact of Cult of the Dead Cow, because there are some early hackers that actually break into system.
Yeah,
Some still start stealing credit card.
Yeah, I remember their back orifice thing.
Correct.
That I think that was their most famous thing, or at least famous to me.
Yeah. It is one of the most favorite tools, most popular tools. And at that time in the 90s, they are the group that make hacking well known, right? Then turns out that a number of those groups are in positions of influence in big companies and all that. I recommend this book if you want to have an introduction. Who is Cult of the Dead Cow? But it doesn't describe the psyche or the thinking behind what they're doing. So if you think about things like party, black shirt, the Matrix with a lot of parties and whatnot, is precisely that culture. And it's because that's how they started. So this book, I recommend this for maybe a 3 to 4 out of 5 stars, because it's not too deep, but it provides enough information for you to get started as a story. So Cult of the Dead Cow, by the untold story of elite social hackers fighting to protect privacies. And they're very influential. Senator, they work in US companies, some work for government, etc.
Do you have a notable name?
So make me think about like.
Do you know any notable names that we might know of?
Yeah, no, but you not that I know of.
Maybe do a Google.
Yeah, people behind Tor project actually have their beginning in the CDC, Cult of the Dead Cow, aka CDC. Then DevCon had their influence on CDC, etc. Evil security, you probably know them even you know the security scene, but I'm not in the security scene. But they are very influential. They're not so yeah. I recommend this book. So any book there you guys want to recommend? We got a big list in our DevKami channel.
Probably, do you want? Let's gather this and put it into. Can you create a like book list on Goodreads?
Yeah, I should put it on the Goodreads.
I think that's a purpose. You have to put it into a list.
Yeah.
Probably.
I should put that on my list. Yeah, on the list.
Yeah. What else?
I kind of lost.
I don't have anything else that I want to recommend, because most of them are either too specific.
Mm-hmm.
Or
and the final part I would also recommend, not directly involved in computing, is actually The Attention Merchant by T. Wu. I've shared this before. So this book is about the origins of advertisement and how Google and all that make advertisement more powerful, a bit too powerful.
And how they design apps to take away our attentions.
Yes. So originally it's about what's the relationship between Google and snake oil. Advertisement stuff from snake oil, selling snake oil, which is fake product, right? But as they go along, not just they just want to sell us stuff, but just displaying things. They actually actively try to make sure you watch something. So that is, which is why I call the attention merchant. They sell ads, and what they're selling is not ads, but it's selling your eyeballs, your attention to watch things.
Or distraction.
Correct. I recommend this book because it's a book that makes you think about whether you want to put ads on your stuff or do you want to work on ads. I don't know, but it is what it is. He's a bit more critical about the tech industry. He's one of the people that recommend splitting up a big tech company. I don't disagree, but a lot of the tools are given for free because it doesn't make profit and nobody building it. For example, a calendar system, right? When Google start releasing a calendar system, now it's free. Nobody now you're going to split out who's going to pay for the calendar system, for example.
They make it very hard to resist.
So that's so Kim Woo is a lawyer that a bit critical about the tech industry, and he's not wrong. It's just that sometimes there's consequences, but the consequence might not be as bad as what the company are doing it right now. So yeah. So that's my last book of many, because otherwise I will take up a whole bit leave.
Okay, we have 10 minutes more. Let's look at the chat. Yeah, Christo say he likes TED Talks as well. What else? Any extra books you want to share, or Tristan?
Well, that's I don't read so many books, and the ones that I read are the same things.
Yeah. I read mostly textbooks, so it's very hard for me to share.
Okay.
They're very specific.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Do you know Edwin Tchaikovsky?
Yes. I've been trying to read. Like I shared it in the chat. I mean, in the Slack chat as well. I try to follow the shadows of the app, which I find it a bit hard to follow. Or maybe I didn't try hard enough. you know the thing about like sometimes fiction is you need to give it a try after a while. Yeah. Yep. Swimming. Oh, we lost swimming.
I'm breaking up. Okay, so am I still back? Say A when I'm back.
A.
Yeah. All right. I'm back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Back. So Edwin Tchaikovsky originally a fantasy author, which is why the shadow of the app comes. But he's also a very competent science fiction author. One of the first science fiction author is actually the book called Children of Time. Was it Children of Time?
I have no idea. Yeah, tell me.
Children of Time is actually part of a series, but that one is about. What?
No, we're not talking.
So, Children of Time is about like describing a civilization of spiders, right? Really?
Yeah, you lost it again.
Okay, what just happened?
Yeah.
Still hear me?
Yes. You're back.
Okay. His recent science fiction book is actually very interesting. For example, Dog of Wars is about.
Is that the one?
Given some rudimentary form of intelligence.
Dogs of War, is that the one they make it into a movie?
From behaviors. Then in between.
I think I lost.
No. It's not, and it's hard to turn into a movie. But that story is interesting because, oh my goodness, what happened with network now?
Yeah, just continue speaking,
Okay,
and then we'll just
Yeah, it
we'll
just
just
so
read
so
out.
what happened is, so Dog of War is also a very good story that describes what happened when you have to deal with non-human intelligence. So in this case, the non-human intelligence are the robotic dog thing, genetically engineered robot dog thing that develop conscience. So and the
so it's a
Andrzej
dog version
Tchaikovsky
of
had a
the
tendency to
planet.
make
Sorry.
no. In fact, these guys are just animals. They just want to be a good boy, right?
Okay.
That's why they use dog.
Yeah.
And Andrzej Tchaikovsky had a talent of describing non-human character in a world and that think very differently than human. He had a very smart way to do that. That's one of his talent in science fiction. So another good example for that is actually the Expert System Brothers. I recommend this one because this is like 100-page book. It's very short. In describing a world where human is there, exists, but everything seems magical. It's actually classical artist secret, but there's a reason. What it the book is put in a way that describing a world where technology is normal. What if the technology is normal and we don't recognize what it is? It's just part of the world and just accept what it is, what it does. So, for example, and in the story, spoiler alert, the reason why they just accept the thing as natural is because originally, originally we use technology as assistance, but as we go along, the recommendation turn into a default, and as a result, humans just accept whatever the technology provide to us.
Yeah.
So the XP system, brother. So these two books, I recommend us to read because it describes precisely the future of us. If you take AI, we build more advanced AI stuff and automation in our life. So imagine smart cities that do this. We just accept it as nature, and it already happened. We already accept Google Maps recommendation of a path by default, not thinking, right? XP system brothers describe that. Then non-human intelligence that make decision for us. That is Dogs of War. And these are two books I recommend for science fiction. So yeah.
Yeah, for now,
So we
we have
have
nothing on the chat.
we have nothing on chat. I think we can end early then.
So yeah, anything you want to say it? Beside
Yeah, but I need to find a way to put a repeater because my router is literally across this wall downstairs, and there's no plug outside. So I need to pull a cable or something. So yeah, that's my thing. I need to figure out the network thing here. All right, I'm done now.
Okay, there's a question for Tristan. Sorry, swimming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris, do you hack electrical appliances? Just checking.
Do I hack electrical
I mean,
appliances?
he's,
Is that a
my,
question on?
do you,
Okay.
I'm gonna read it. Do you hack electrical appliances? Just checking. My ceiling light bulb of
If
either
you're
fluorescent, incandescent pops. I found the MCP may be too big for it.
what is an MCB? And if it pops, then that means that you have a very loose electrical connection, and so the pops are actually lightning, just like exactly how lightning works. It's an arc. So like everything has resistance. Even air has like you think that air has no resistance, but it actually has. Sorry, you might think that air is a perfect insulator where electrical signals cannot go pass through, but actually it has a certain amount of resistance, and so if there's too much voltage because um, it just builds up on the sides, and then you have a loose electrical fitting, then the electricity will arc from the source to the appliance because you don't have it goes through the air, and that's what you hear as the pop, which is like a sonic boom of stuff. So if it's not a good fit, then you will hear some popping. So yeah, I don't think it's about hacking. It's just like
MCP is the
proper
fraud. It's the yeah. I do not understand what you're trying to say. Is okay.
okay, yeah.
Electrical incoming unit.
So you just need to have a better fit of stuff. There's no hacking
Yeah.
involved there. If you want to hack it, maybe you can put Wi-Fi on it. That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it. Chris, just read it over some physically to ask about more to more, or just buy a new one. Check. Yeah. I guess that's about it. Yeah, we're at 11 now, so time to say goodbye. And remember to like,
Yes.
subscribe,
Bye.
bye,
Yeah.
folks. Yep, I will click. I will click it. All right.
Oh.